have missed you all so much. It has been 2 years since I've done these videos. I started this Freaky Friday series in May of 2019, and I really wanted it to be something big, but I just have gone through so much. Just to recap, I know these videos are already long, and I don't want to make them any longer. My grandmother did pass away in 2020, 2 years ago, and I kind of just spiraled. I got very depressed, and I kind of just let both of my channels go. My main channel, which I had been working on for 10 years, and then this channel as well. I just took it really hard. I didn't know how to deal with the grief. As you all know, I lost my grandfather, and then losing my grandmother 2 years later was just very difficult. It's been difficult. I'm still going through it. But I'm ready to get back, or I'm trying to get back. I feel like I'm ready, but then I'm not. But I just had to come back with a Freaky Friday story for you for Halloween. Oh, I am so excited. So I went to a Halloween party. I didn't have time to look for a costume. So this was a costume that I just kind of randomly put together with stuff that I had, except for the shells and this netting. This crown is actually from a previous Medusa costume, but I just glued on a whole bunch of shells and then cut this netting and put it in there. And I'm like, boom, I'm a sea witch. And I put this, and you'll see my costume. I had this stuff, put it together, and people ended up loving it. So I'm like, hey, let me do a video with it. So I really hope you all enjoy this video. Again, I love you so much. Thank you so much for supporting me. I really want to bring these back. It would really, really help me and this channel to come back with a bang if you like, subscribe, comment, share. Please do all of those. It is the best way to help me to get this channel out there so I can keep producing more videos for you dolls. I love you so much. You all have been asking for these videos for the past 2 years, and I love that it just held such a close place in your heart, and I love these videos as well, and I really want to start focusing on this channel more and get with my little spooky babes. And if you yourself want to submit your own story, send it to freakyfridays with an S 2019 at gmail.com. We'd all love to hear them. My birthday's on Tuesday, so I'm going to be celebrating my birthday on Halloween like I always do every year with friends and family. So I'm excited about that. It's like a 2-for-1 celebration. It's great. I love it. But let me know, comment down below what you're going to be doing for Halloween. Okay, dolls, so the first story we have is from April. Hello, my name is April, and first of all, I just wanted to say I love your style and channel. Thank you, my love. Spooky and vintage should always be together, LOL. I absolutely agree. Okay, let's get spooky. First, I have to give you a backstory. I grew up and live in Sevierville, sorry, I probably mispronounced that, Tennessee, in the middle of nowhere. My neighbors were basically trees and cow fields, and about 30 minutes away was Wheatland Plantation. It is a super haunted place that has a lot of creepy shit that has happened there. It's spooky enough to look up the ghost stories about the property in our free time. Plantations, I hate that. This story doesn't take place at the plantation because my ass would not be caught dead there, but I have 2 short stories that happened at my childhood home and my home I live in now. First, when I was a teenager, about 16, my parents had left me and my younger sister Shauna, who was 13, home alone while they went on a weekend trip. It was a pretty normal Friday. We went to school and got off the bus at home and went inside and went to our rooms. About 3 hours later, I went to the kitchen to fix me some dinner. After I had ate and watched some TV, I went outside to smoke a cigarette. I'm a grown-ass adult. Now I hope my mom doesn't listen to this, LOL. My sister was already outside at the edge of the porch staring into the field behind the house. I said, "Shanna, what are you doing?" And she didn't answer. So I said her name again and still no answer. So I walked towards her and she looked white as a ghost. I grabbed her hand and asked, "Are you okay?" She responded, still staring at the field, "Do you see them?" I looked into the field and didn't see anything. It was dark by this time and there is just our porch light out there. When I didn't say anything, she asked again, "Do you see them?" She looked at me this time and I answered, "No, what are you talking about?" She said, looking back at the field, "Those ladies." I looked again and didn't see anything and said, "What ladies?" She pointed into the darkness and said, "Those two ladies covered in blood." I said, "Nope," grabbed my sister's arm and ran back inside, locked all the doors, checked the windows, and called my mom. She, big surprise, didn't believe me and told us to stop watching scary movies. Me and my sister didn't sleep that night, and the rest of the weekend slept in the same room. Thank you. Finally, yeah, I know, scary movies, they go towards the danger. You went away, locked the doors. Thank God. But that is so creepy to see two bloody women. I hope they can eventually cross into a better place because that is just so awful. Okay, ready for the next one? This takes place in the house I live at now with my husband. It's about 20 minutes from my childhood home. I have Fridays all to myself because my husband works that day, so it's just me and the dog at home, and I'm cleaning the kitchen. I had my back to the sink, putting some dishes away, when I heard a crash. A mason jar had fallen off the counter and smashed on the ground. I don't know how it could have fallen, but I chalked it up to me just hitting the towel and maybe it falling. So after I had cleaned up the glass and finished the kitchen, I had got a glass of water. I drank the water and set the glass in the middle of the counter so I could use it later, and walked into the living room and turned off the TV. My kitchen opens into the living room. I was just watching a movie when I heard a glass sliding across the counter in the kitchen. I remember saying it was the wind, even though the window wasn't open, and kept watching the movie. Again, I heard the glass slide across the counter, so I got and put the glass in the sink and went back to the living room. I had just sat down when my phone rang. It scared the poop out of me. It was my mom asking if I could watch my nieces for a little while. I said yes. And about an hour later, they came over. I had put cartoons on so they could watch them while I was folding towels, when Bella, the youngest, 3 years old, walked to the corner of the living room and started waving towards the wall. I got up and asked her what she was doing, and she kept waving. I said, "Bella, honey, what are you doing?" She turned around and smiled and said, "Eric," pointing at nothing. First of all, we don't know anyone named Eric. And second of all, why can my sister and her kids see dead people? Anyway, I grabbed Bella and Chloe, my other niece, and we went to the park until my mom called asking if I could bring the girls home. After the girls were home and my husband was at home, I told him about what happened, and he said he thought he heard a glass sliding across the counter the other day. After that, to this day, creepy stuff happens all the time, like things going missing, weird noises, cold spots, and that feeling someone is watching you in the dark corners of the room. I have gotten used to it, well, as much as I can, but when something does happen, I just say, "Stop it, Eric, you're creeping me out." And most of the time it will stop for at least the rest of the night. Thanks so much for reading my spooky stories. I said short stories, but girl, I love to ramble. Same. Hope you have a great rest of the day and can't wait to see more Freaky Fridays. Thank you so much, Ashley, for sharing those stories. It sounds like Eric is a friendly ghost. He wants to be a little mischievous. He wants to have fun. He's bored, but it's nice that he actually listens to you, so that's good. But the whole thing about feeling like someone's staring at you at the corner of a room, that creeps me out. Thank you so much, Ashley, for sharing your stories. Okay, dolls, the next story is from Shaden. I hope that's right. Miss Pink Thing. "Hey girl, hey, from the Windy City, Chi-Town. I really hope my story makes it. Okay, so before I get into this paranormal-ish, I just want to say that I love your YouTube channel, and I love your style. First video I watched was your Chicana Get Ready With Me, and I fell in love with your sense of style. Love. Thank you so much. It makes me so sad because these emails are like from 2019 when I first started the series, and I hope you guys are still watching me and you see that I'm reading your stories. But anyway, let's keep going. Okay, so this happened about 3 years ago to me and my husband. This happened to us on our dating, get to know each other times. So back in the day when we started dating, we always used to go on car cruises around his job at that time, or just around. We always looked for places that weren't too full of cars, just to eat, talk, and do things we weren't supposed to at the time. LOL. That day still gives me the chills. So it was around 10 p.m. We were cruising, looking for a place for us to park. As we kept driving, my husband remembered this huge parking lot, which has factories all around, and it's quiet and alone, close to his job. So we headed there. We got there, parked, and turned off the car. We reclined the car seats back all the way back, and we started to have our usual talks. Now, remind you, we parked far from cars, and there was light, but not a lot, and it was really late. As we continued to talk, my husband tells me he heard something, asks me if I heard it too, and I say no. So I tell him, well, check it out. Peek up his window and check. So he does. When he comes back down, his face was pale. I've never seen so much fear in his eyes, so I ask him what it is. He tells me, okay, don't get scared and don't panic, but there's someone standing close to the car. So of course, I decide to take a look myself, me thinking it's a regular person. Hell no. This mofo, sorry for the cursing word, but it was a black entity standing there. It had no face. Just standing there. I've never in my life been scared for my life. I seriously got back down so fast, and I told my husband, what the F? Is that not a damn person? We need to leave like now. We switched seats so fast, my husband went to the driving seat. I don't know how he did it, but he turned the car on, backed up faster than ever, and we left. Crazy part, as we were leaving, I looked back and it was still standing there. No movement, nothing. Oh, I just got chills. I literally had a panic attack in the car. That's how scared I was. As we drive off, my husband told me, let's not ever talk about this again, because we were in disbelief. Time passed, and my husband told me that he actually did mention what happened to one of his coworkers at the time. And he told him that there used to be a cemetery there before they built all the factories around there. And that's probably why we saw that black shadow man, that it was probably a spirit that we were disturbing. But honestly, that was no damn spirit. That felt like an evil presence. Now that we are parents, we talk about it and it still gives us chills. We are firm believers that as there is good, there is evil. I hope it wasn't too long. I tried to make it as short as possible, but anywho, I hope you guys enjoy my husband and I's paranormal encounter. Okay, that gave me chills. That is so creepy. I hate, but then I don't hate, but I hate that I always I do a clear visualization as you guys were telling the story, and it makes me feel like I'm there, and I got the chills. That is so creepy because I've experienced like black shadow figures before, and that was in my old grandma's house, so it's really creepy and it just takes me back to those days. Ooh! Thank you so much, my love, for sharing your story. Okay, dolls, this next story is from Melanie, and it is titled Screams, Dreams, and More. Hi, Ashley. I wanted to start by saying how much I love you and Freaky Fridays. I am in love with your style. Thank you so much, my love. And I love you too. I was raised in a Catholic family, so all my life I've known guilt and superstition. Same girl, same. Let's start back when I was a kid. Burning dreams. My mom and dad split up when I was 2, and I had to spend every other weekend with my dad. I hated it because I was a Chiona, and my older brother loved to scare me all the time, but I especially hated it because my nightmares would be at their peak. I think the anxiety of not being home made them worse. When I was about 10, I had this reoccurring dream of being burned alive. I would wake up sweating and my body temperature high. I would even wake up gasping for air as if the fire was burning my lungs. Ooh. The only time I would ever have this dream was when I was at my dad's, so my parents always chalked it up to my anxiety and the scares my brother would give me. One day, my dad showed up at my mom's, which was very unusual for him. He started questioning me about my nightmare. He asked me where I was, who I was with, what I could see. I told him the only thing I could ever see was a small room engulfed in flames and me standing in the middle of it alone. My dad proceeded to tell me that his best friend died that morning in his own garage, burned alive. Oh shit. Okay, so it was basically like a premonition. Oh, I'm so sorry for that man and your father. Has anything like that ever happened again after that? And then moving on to your next story, The devil is calling. Even though my family was raised Catholic, some of my family converted to Mormonism. I got pregnant at the age of 20, going on 21. My Mormon family took me in as I was a full-time student living in a room with my best friend. Fast forward to my baby being about 4 months. It was about 3 o'clock a.m., always 3 o'clock, the witching hour. And I was feeding my son. The entire house was asleep. This was my Thea, her husband, my cousins Peter, Catherine, and Belle. I started to feel very uneasy, as if someone was watching me. I ignored it and kept feeding my baby. When I was done, I got out of the bed to put him in his crib, and I heard a deep, demonic-like voice calling out for my cousin Peter. Girl, I jumped into bed so fast and started praying. As I was praying, the voice got louder and stronger. It wasn't until I ended my prayer that it had stopped calling out for my cousin. I did not sleep for the rest of the night. In the morning, my cousins and I were sitting at the kitchen table waiting for breakfast to be served when I overheard my Theo asking my cousin Belle why she ran into their room last night. She was only 7. She looked at him and just said she was scared. My cousin Catherine chimed in and asked my Theo what time did Belle go to their room because she had woken up to feeling like someone was watching her. I am now crying and trying to get the words out and explain to my Theo what I had heard last night. Once I did, we all had a prayer as a family, and he blessed the house. My Theo explained to us that because Peter was preparing to go on his mission and is worthy and closer to God, the adversary, the devil, works harder to make sure we fail. I will never forget the voice I heard calling out for my cousin. Oh, girl, that is traumatizing, especially having to listen to it over and over again and having that memory of that voice. That is something I never want to experience, but I am so glad that you are safe. Thank you so much, Melanie, for sharing your stories. Okay, dolls, this next story is from Elysia. Hey, doll, I've been a fan of your channel now for a few years, and I absolutely love just how real and funny you are. I am so excited for your Freaky Friday series. Thank you so much, my love, and thank you for your continuous support. Here is a little bit of a backstory because these are paranormal. Even as an infant, my mom and auntie were practicing pagans and said that I could see things because they'd be feeling weird and I'd be looking in the directions they felt the eeriness coming from. My name is Elysia. These are my stories. Haha, cheesy ghost adventure entrance. I love that. The woman in the brown dress. Some nights when I was a kid, my folks would fight and I would lay on my bedroom floor to try and hear what was being said and make sure nobody was being hurt. There would be nights where I would get so scared and fall asleep crying. Eventually, I would end up waking up all stiff from being on the floor, or my stepdad would come back on me, then tuck me into bed. That was the usual for me. On occasion, though, I would wake up because of the feeling someone else was laying in bed with me, or the soft humming while someone was twisting my hair. Oh, no. Over the years, I changed rooms. I changed where my dad was. I had a loft bed, and then I slept on a mattress on the floor. But no matter where I went, it was the same. If I had one of the nights where I cried myself to sleep, one or the other of those things would wake me up. One night, I woke up and I saw her walking across my room after playing with my hair. I didn't feel afraid, but instead at peace, knowing that there was someone watching after me. As years went by, the occurrences slowed down. But I know the lady in the brown dress was still there because of friends and family members saying that they saw her. And one time when I had taken pictures with a Kodak camera in the dark, and in the dust specks, there were orbs that formed together and looked like her shape. Oh my gosh, I wish you had that photo. I would love to see that. But that actually is really sweet that it sounds like they're there to comfort you. Oh, I love that one. Next story, sleep paralysis and bad omens. So it happened every once in a while, but not too horribly often. Starting in middle school, I would start having nightmares with sleep paralysis and would wake up with bruising and scratching on my thighs and lady bits. Most of the time, they would be rape nightmares. Oh, that's which was terrifying because to my knowledge, I'd never been or seen anything like that. It was so real and I felt awake. But I couldn't move, couldn't scream. When I'd explain it to my closest friend, they'd panic. I'd have similar ones that I'd wake and look out my window or next to my bed to see things that after looking into them, there were signs of bad omens. For example, I woke up one night to see a feral, scraggly, furred, one-eyed cat. Oh. And once I made eye contact, I couldn't look away. Another time, I was in bed with my ex, and I woke up in the middle of the night and saw nothing but pure darkness and what looked like to be goat eyes. Oh, that is creepy. Okay, now I'm getting chills on that. At this point, I couldn't move. I couldn't blink. I tried waking up my husband, but no matter how hard I tried to scream, nothing came out. Goat eyes, forget it. That is scary. Oh, I can get it out of my head. Okay, last one. My shadow guardian. As I mentioned at the beginning, my mother and aunt used to say that I could see things. One thing in particular is something that I have considered my shadow guardian, which I have named Lex. For as long as I can remember, I have had the ability to see something darker than the dark. Like, say you were to look into a dark room. I saw something that looked like a human-esque figure that was even darker than the dark, and nothing else. It would shape-shift and move across the room and hide in the corners where my mother and auntie came into the room wondering what I was babbling and baby talking to. Over the years, it followed me, from the warehouse to the tiny apartment to the large house my family lives in now, and when I moved in with my ex-husband, till today back at my family's home. I've never seen a face or appendages, and the only time I ever got communication from it, all I heard was what sounded like Lex, hence the name. I've heard of other people having what is called a shadow guardian, and that is what I'm convinced it is. Like I said before, I have had so many, but these are what give me the creeps the most. A good ghost, bad omen, and a shadow guardian. I'm so excited to hear more stories, and I love your reactions and tutorials. Thank you for doing what you do. You're amazing, Elysia. Oh my gosh, okay. I've actually never heard of a shadow guardian. I wonder if it's the same as a spirit guide, maybe? I don't know. It kind of sounds the same. Thank you so much, Elysia, for sharing your stories. All right, dolls. So this is the last story for our Freaky Friday episode today. This is always the saddest part. But this is actually a story I've shared before, but it was like a long time ago. So I might revisit these old stories so you could get a little refresher. And yeah, hopefully you don't mind. This video is from Natalie G. Hey Ashley, I first would like to start off, as any fangirl would, by declaring I absolutely adore you. I've been a subscriber to your channel since I was about 13, 14. I'm about to turn 21. Salud. I rep your Freaky Friday crew neck all the way from 702. Oh, thank you, my love. I can go on for hours about how much I adore your personality and style and how everyone knows I'm a big fan of yours, but I want to get to the spooky stories. I love you so much and I wish I could see you. Oh, thank you, babe. My first story begins when I was around 4 to 5 years old. My mom would drop my brother and I off at my grandma's house while she went to work. I remember this event so clearly because it was the first time some spooky shit went down. So my grandma had put me down for a nap around the afternoon time. I remember I fell asleep on the couch and she carried me to her bed because I was sleepy. But really, I had already woken up when she picked me up, but I didn't want to walk, so I pretended to be asleep. Haha. Anyways, she tucked me into her bed and closed the door as she left the room. Her bed was giant and so comfortable, so I tried to fall back asleep. I began to toss and turn, and for some odd reason, I couldn't go back to sleep. I then sat up on her bed and something was calling for my attention. I felt the need to look at her window. I sat there and stared at the window and wondered what was calling me in silence. A few seconds passed, and I let go a big breath of fresh air when two humanly figures slammed their bodies against the window. They were slamming themselves against the glass and began pounding with their hands. I couldn't see their features clearly, except their black, hollow mouth and eyes. I remember it so vividly to this day. I was completely terrified and hid myself under the covers. I began to pray to God to save me and to make the people go away. I don't remember how long I prayed for, but finally I stopped hearing the banging. I peeked out of the covers and saw that whatever they were disappeared. I booked it out of that room so fast and ran to my grandma. I tried explaining to her what I saw, so she went to check it out herself. Luckily, there was nothing there anymore. As a kid, I figured it was probably my brother and cousins playing a joke on me. But when I said that to my grandma, she said that there was no one home except us. My brother and cousins were at school. After that, I was never left alone in her room because fuck that. Not today, Satan. Okay, the figures with the hollow eyes and mouths, no thank you. I don't need a Guillermo del Toro monster creature trying to get me. And okay, so this was a two-parter, so that's good. And last story. Satan really did try it though. Thankfully, not with me, but my own mom. My mom shares a story of the time she became face to face with the devil. This story still freaks me the F out because the evidence was legitimately there. So my mom was living in Outland, Jalisco at that time, aka Mexico. She was a little girl at that time. I can't remember the specific age, but between 5 to 7 years old. To paint the setting of the event, the house they lived in was an old school Mexican house, where the center of the house had an outdoor opening and an entire garden there. My mom had woken up late at night to go to the bathroom. She was too scared to use the actual toilet because there was no light in there, and she was scared of the curtain that acted as a door. So she went to go pee in the garden since the moon provided enough light to see. She described the garden with a giant tree in the center, and there were tiny plants in pots. She began to do her business on the giant tree in the center. As she's finishing up, she hears the door that led to the backyard slowly open. She then quickly pulled up her pants and began to hide behind the tree. Although she was frightened, someone was breaking into her house. She peeked through the branches. As the door is still opening, there was a red light approaching through it. As the red light began to appear brighter, a tall red man walks through with horns on his head. She describes this moment to be so frightening because it's like the devil knew exactly where she was. He instantly stared at her as he walked in. As she walked into the house, she would hide her face, and when she would look again, he would still be staring directly at her. Finally, the devil sat on my great-grandmother's wooden rocking chair and just sat there and stared. My mom felt as if he was playing peekaboo with her. She peeked again, and at this point he was smiling at her while rocking back and forth. Finally, he decides to get up and leave. At last, my mom hears the door slam shut and began running to her room. She tried to wake up her siblings and mom, but they wouldn't pay attention to her. One of her sisters told her to pray and go to sleep. The next morning, my mom tried to explain the whole situation to the family, but of course, everyone laughed and said, if the devil came here, he would have taken you. She explained how he opened the door and sat in my grandma's chair, but still no one wanted to believe her, until one of my aunts looked at the rocking chair and called everyone over. The wooden chair had a handmade quilt on the seat, but it was burned and ashes were on the ground. There was a trail of ashes on the floor leading to the back door. Even the door handle was melted. After this, best believe they drove to my mom to be blessed and cleaned, lol. My family doesn't really talk about this event. In fact, I've only heard my mom tell the story twice. Thank you for taking the time and patience to read my stories. As much as I believe in paranormal activity, I'm still so effing scared of it. I've even witnessed some creepy but funny stuff at my work, but this is a whole other email, lol. I really enjoy your Freaky Friday series, and I love to get ready as much as I watch them. Please continue being the spooky and fierce chica that you are. You continually help many people, including myself, with our own personal issues by providing us a fun and creative space. Thank you for everything, Ashley Marie. Your spooky little fangirl, Natalie. Oh, that was so sweet. Thank you so much. It means so much to me. And thank you for submitting your stories. I really hope that so many of you are still following my Freaky Friday channel. I'm sorry again, I disappeared. But Natalie, thank you so much for your stories. The one about the devil is just way too creepy for me. I'm going to head to bed now and cuddle with Jay because hell to the no. Thank you so much, my love, for sharing your story. So that is it for today's Freaky Friday video, my loves. I know it is so sad. It's always sad ending these videos. I wish I could read more stories, but then this would be like an hour long, and I know you guys don't want to just sit here watching me get ready for an hour. I'm sorry, but I will be back, and I am excited to bring these back. Thank you again. Thank you so much for your continued support, and please, please, please be sure to like, comment, and share with all your friends. And don't forget to send your freaky stories at freakyfridays2019@gmail.com. I hope you dolls have a wonderful Halloween. Stay safe and have a Freaky Friday. Bye, loves.